Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We are unpacking literally one single, highly specific digital artifact. Just a URL. No 100-page corporate reports, no boring press conferences to sit through. We're putting one single digital footprint under the microscope to uncover a massive shift in the media and sports landscape. You'd be amazed how much strategic weight fits into just a few dozen characters of text once you know exactly how to read them. Let's get right into it.
To set the stage here, think about this industry-defining question. What happens when big tech captures global racing? Look, we're living in this wild era where the lines between tech giants and traditional entertainment are just completely blurring, right? And sports, especially a high-octane, globally dominant machine like Formula One, has long been the ultimate prize. Live sports are pretty much the final frontier for guaranteed simultaneous global viewership. So what actually happens when the most valuable tech companies on Earth decide they don't just want to sponsor a race, but they want to own the entire broadcast? Well, the artifact we're about to examine gives us the exact answer.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our sole piece of source material. One single, incredibly potent line of text. It's a note for a channel called IndustryIQ, right alongside a web address, apple.com/newsroom/2026/04/Formula One returns to the US this weekend, streaming live on Apple TV. Now, at first glance, yeah, it just looks like a standard hyperlink. But as focused learners, we're definitely not going to just skim past this. We're treating this URL as a primary piece of evidence. I mean, this is corporate strategy hiding in plain sight, mapped right out into a web directory. Every dash, every slash, it all serves a very specific, deliberate purpose.
To really get what we're looking at, we have to introduce this concept of a digital artifact reveal. This is the whole core of our microanalysis today. Think of a digital artifact kind of like a dinosaur fossil. By just examining its shape and its structure, we can start to reconstruct the entire beast it belonged to. In the business of tech and media, these companies structure their websites and file paths to reflect their operational timelines and their actual strategic priorities. So we're going to dissect this specific link word by word. We are taking a macro-level industry shift, the massive convergence of Apple and Formula One, and tracking it straight through the micro-level evidence of this web architecture.
Just look at how this brilliantly illustrates the sheer amount of core data packed into one single line. This string gives us 5 distinct data pillars. First, the context, the IndustryIQ channel. Second, the broadcasting platform, Apple TV. Third, the actual real-world event, Formula One returning to the United States. Fourth, a highly specific date, April 2026. And finally, the format, live streaming. If you're a media analyst, an investor, or honestly just a fan of the sport, these 5 little points outline an absolute earthquake in how content is going to be delivered.
Let's actually start breaking down this timeline chronologically, beginning right at the very front of the URL path, 2026. Now, in the world of corporate media rights and global sports broadcasting, these deals do not happen overnight. No way. They're planned years, sometimes even decades, in advance. So by embedding 2026 directly into this digital artifact, we are looking at a future cast. It tells us that this strategic alignment between these two giant entities isn't just some quick, fleeting experiment. It's permanent. It is a clear, massive flag planted firmly in the ground of the future media landscape. And let's zoom in even closer on this subdirectory right here, 2026/04. It isn't just a year. They've narrowed it down to the exact month, April. This precise digital footprint places this monumental announcement right in the heart of spring. By structuring their official newsroom link with this level of temporal specificity, Apple is basically treating this live streaming event with the exact same structural importance as, say, a major iPhone release or a global developer conference. The suspense here is honestly palpable. It means that by April 2026, the entire architecture of how US fans consume this global sport is going to be radically transformed.
Let's move to and see how this builds across the exact anatomy of the URL. First up, apple.com/newsroom. That confirms this isn't a rumor. It's the architecture of an official corporate announcement. Then, like we just talked about, 2026/04 gives us our timeline. Next, the event slug. Formula One returns, confirming the specific property and geography. And finally, streaming live denotes the broadcast mechanism. When you map it out like this, it's like a giant puzzle coming together. You can clearly see how web developers literally code corporate strategy right into the navigation of a website. The structure itself is the message.
Now, I want to take a second to analyze the specific wording of that URL slug itself. Formula One returns to the US this weekend. The phrasing here is incredibly deliberate. Just notice the word returns.
Right away, it builds this narrative of a triumphant comeback, a massive geographical event. And then, look at the phrase, this weekend. That implies immediate, intense urgency. It's not a passive archive of something that already happened. It's an active, real-time call to action. It creates a sudden, very real sense of FOMO, fear of missing out. This digital artifact is basically acting as a megaphone, shouting to the entire United States that a must-see live event is happening right now.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the fascinating juxtaposition we have going on. On one side, you have Formula One, right? A historic motorsport built on combustion, physical engineering, burning rubber, decades of gritty legacy. And on the other side, Apple TV, the absolute pinnacle of pristine, digital, silicon-based technology and modern streaming infrastructure. Bringing these two together, it represents the ultimate marriage of analog speed and digital distribution. It shows exactly how legacy sports properties absolutely have to align themselves with cutting-edge tech platforms to actually reach a modern global audience.
So, the crucial point is the phrase, streaming live on Apple TV. This entirely extracts the shift away from traditional linear cable television directly from the link. Notice it doesn't say available on cable. It doesn't say check your local listings. It explicitly says streaming live on Apple TV. This denotes total platform exclusivity. It tells us that the future of experiencing this high-speed, premium content relies entirely on you having access to this specific streaming ecosystem. It's an absolute game-changer in the world of broadcasting rights, fundamentally changing how fans are going to access the sport they love.
And that brings us full circle, back to the context surrounding this entire artifact, the note indicating this is for the IndustryIQ channel. So why does this matter to us? Because doing exactly what we've done today, taking a single overlooked string of text and extracting the underlying business strategy right out of it, is exactly how you elevate your own IndustryIQ. By understanding this tech-sports convergence, you aren't just passively reacting to the news. You're learning how to read the digital tea leaves. You're training yourself to spot the massive shifts in media, technology, and entertainment way before they become the standard practice.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. With Apple TV definitively taking the wheel for Formula One in 2026, what sport will big tech stream next? We've decoded the artifact, we've seen the strategy, and the precedent has been permanently set. The migration of live global sports to exclusive tech platforms is accelerating rapidly. It's spreading like wildfire. So keep your eyes open, watch those URLs, and keep analyzing the digital footprints out there. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I highly encourage you to keep questioning the architecture of the digital world around you.